Are you facing a military move with kids and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? In today's video, we're going to talk with Elena Flannery. She's a military spouse who's made 7 moves in the last 10 years, and she's got some tips for moving across country and making military moves with kids. Hey, Laura Gallant here with Mountain Prairie Living, and welcome to my channel where I answer questions about the home buying and selling process. I talk about PCS moves, cool neighborhoods, and amazing things that you can do here in Colorado Springs. If you're moving to Colorado Springs, I hope you subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. So I'm going to introduce Elena Flannery. She actually happens to be my assistant also, and lucky me, but I do a lot of military moves, and we decided that it was a really good idea to talk about some of the things that occur when you have a military move. And today we're focusing on kids. So here's Elena Flannery. Hey, Elena.
Hello.
I'm
Hey,
so glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
thanks
So
for having
today
me.
I was just going to kind of ask a few questions about some tips and tricks you have for moving with the military, and maybe some things that we should be cognizant of when we're making a military move with kids. Since you've kind of mastered it after 7 moves, I can imagine, and there's definitely some tips that you have. So tell them a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your experience with the moves.
Sure. So I've been a military spouse for just over 12 years now. I have 2 kids. I have a 15-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we've moved, like you said, 7 times in the last 10 years. And it is a wonderful, adventurous life, being a military family, but it's also a very stressful and challenging life. With all of these moves, I've learned a lot for myself, and we've learned a lot as a family on what works and what doesn't work. And then just things that we've kind of turned into traditions with moves that gives us something to look forward to and something to be excited about, and to create memories as a family to kind of help us through the process of moving and everything that comes along with it.
Well, I'm so glad I get to ask you a few questions. And I think that this video will really help people who have not made a military move yet with kids, or have had one and it just didn't go well and they're looking for a little advice.
Mhm.
So let me start with the first question. What's the hardest part of the PCS move, and how do you overcome that with the kids? What's the very hardest part for everyone?
I would say that the hardest part, especially with kids, is the emotional side of it. And depending on the ages of your kids, if they're babies, toddlers, it's a little bit easier because they're not established in the school system yet. They might not have that group of friends. But as the kids get older, they're school age, they have these groups of friends and they get very attached to them. It is very, very heartbreaking to have to leave. And I would say the hardest part as a parent watching this is definitely watching your kids hug their friends goodbye, and the tearful, gut wrenching cries that you hear, and getting into the car and driving away. For my kids, I've tried to teach them that yes, it feels like goodbye, but we try to shift the perspective to it's a see you later. And you never know with the military, you might move away from someone, but that family might get stationed closer to you and you're able to visit them again. Or you might be traveling somewhere and you just happen to go through the town that one of your old friends is now stationed at. So it's kind of cool because you do get all these friends in all these different areas throughout the United States. So you gain a lot. But kids, I think it's hard for them to see that bigger perspective, but being able to share that with them has been really helpful. Although I would just say the hardest part is definitely the emotional side for the kids.
So being aware and listening and paying attention, and then, like you just mentioned, presenting the concept that these are opportunities. We're going to have a
Mhm.
larger group of friends over a larger range of area, and that's kind of a plus. They can call them still, they can
Mhm.
FaceTime them, they can share with them all the cool experiences of the new place, and so can the other child. So
Mhm.
I think it's really how we handle it, right? So
Mhm.
it, So let's talk about the age groups because you just mentioned it earlier. So if the child is younger, obviously an infant or maybe just a year old or something, they may not know. But as we talk about school age and even
Mhm.
high school or middle school, that's even more challenging for them. Speak a little bit to the difference of age, and because I think you have two different age groups for sure, and
Mhm.
how you handled it and what are ways that you help them through this transition.
I would say for my older one, she is going to be a junior in high school. She's been to 2 high schools. This is her final high school, thankfully. But that first move, freshman year, going to a completely different school sophomore year was really, really hard. Um, and with that age specifically, because they're already in their adolescence and they're already dealing with so much, adding that move on there is really, really stressful. So, knowing the signs to look for with anxiety, depression, any type of changes that I start seeing is really beneficial as a parent to kind of try to catch it and keep the dialogue open with them. It has been really helpful for me throughout all of our moves and all of the ages, but specifically with teenagers, I think it's really helpful to try to keep the communication open and be really cognizant of how your teenager is acting and if they need to talk to someone to know your resources. I think it's beneficial to already reach out to a counselor and have something lined up so that your kids have that support throughout their move. And maybe if you can't get it, during the move, but on that backside, once you get to where you're going, have something already lined up so they have someone to talk to and you can get in because sometimes there is a wait list, and that can be push out care for mental health. And I think that's a really important thing to just be mindful of with the moves with the kids.
So the mental health of the children and really being cognizant of that and helping them understand that it's the entire family going through this process
Mhm.
is probably a really helpful tool. But also using resources, use your resources because the military does have them. At times they don't often get used. And I think it's really important to remember that. And then kind of keeping an awareness around what the child is going through, like you said, watching them are really important tools. But I think that sometimes bringing up the concept that this ability to move so often is really a skill for them that could
Mhm.
benefit them later. It could help them become very adaptable in business, in relationships in the future, to understand that while it's hard and it's uncomfortable, if they are getting better at each move, that helps them in the long run in their life because being adaptable is a really important skill, not only for
Mhm.
military moves, but in general. So I think those are really good points to point out. Do you do anything to involve them with some of the moves so that they feel a big part of being a big part of the move and feel like they have choices? I think that's an important piece. Is that
Oh,
something
yeah.
you do?
Yes, absolutely. On our last move, what we would do is we have an Apple TV, and we were able to, with our Apple iPhones, cast our screen onto the TV. And so we would pull up the map of the areas we were looking at living, and we were in search of buying, our almost forever home, and we would pull up houses for sale and let the kids tell us, what do they like, what don't they like, what room would be theirs, and let them be part of that process of, the neighborhood we're going to live in, the type of house that we're looking to buy. And once we did get here, I mean, part of the walkthrough, the kids are there, the kids got to run through the house first and pick, this is my room. And another thing we like to do is to allow them to change up the decorations in their room and, pick out something new for their new room and help get them excited about the possibilities and the different look that they could have in their room, different things, different items. And that's been really fun for them. But I would say definitely getting the kids involved. I mean, that's going to be dependent on age groups, but even young kids can be involved. My son was 6 when we did this last move, and he loved being part of it. And he would walk up to the TV and point, and it was really cool because then we'd zoom in on that area and look at these different things. And it was a really fun thing to just do as a family, and it helps you stay connected throughout the move, especially with a teenager. That can be kind of challenging. because they naturally just kind of start to pull away from the family. So doing things together and having them involved in the whole process and explaining, um, what it takes to get, pre-approved for a house, or what is a rental agreement and how do you apply for that? How does it work? So being able to explain that too, like you mentioned, I mean, these moves are not just, skills for right now, skills for the military. Like you can pull skills out of this that are going to help you later on in life. And that's a really cool thing to share with your kids and bring up, and that it can help them in the future.
Yeah, it's part of the life of a military. It's something that you can't change.
Mhm.
The moves are going to happen, and helping prep them and helping them understand what an important part they are. Because even though when I think of military service, it's not just that one individual that's enlisted or in a commanding position. It's the entire family that makes this move. And
Mhm.
I'm very cognizant of that as a realtor because I know how stressful it is for everybody. But I think that involving the family throughout it and then helping them understand what an important part they are playing in our service to the military, or your service to the military is something that they can take pride in,
Mhm.
and it's so easy to get caught up on what we don't have and what we don't like, and all of those things, especially as kids, especially as
Mhm.
teenagers. So helping change the perspective into the mindset of the opportunities that are there, I think, and that's in anything in life. But as a parent or a military spouse, I think it you really have to fine tune those skills for sure. So,
Mhm.
what are some additional tips that you would offer somebody making a military move, whether it be from point A to the new base, or things along the way, or maybe it's getting into the new house? What are some tips that help the children really make this transition as least stressful as possible? Because it's going to be stressful no matter what. But what are some
Mhm.
additional tips you might have?
Well, we like to make sure that our kids each get to bring some of their favorite things. Naturally, you're going to be traveling, depending on how you do your move, with quite a bit of luggage. So, making sure that they have their favorite toys, their favorite book, whatever the case may be, has been really helpful for us. And then also getting them involved with the road trip itself and places you might want to stop along the way. Picking the hotels, picking the restaurants that you're going to eat at, and looking just in the future of like, this is our road trip, mapping it out, has been really fun for our kids. And then once we get to our destination, once we get into our new house, become a tradition that our first night in the new house, everyone gets a couple night lights in their hands. And then we turn off the lights, we wait till it's dark, and we go throughout the house with flashlights to pick where we want to place our night lights strategically, so that if you come downstairs in the middle of the night, you have something that is lit up and it's not just totally dark. And that's become kind of a fun game for us. And we've done it in the last 4 or 5 houses, but it's something we look forward to. Especially if you have boxes that are in the house already, you can play hide and seek, flashlight hide and seek. It's kind of a fun thing. But that was something that helps to create memories in the new home and also get your kids familiar with the layout, because some children might have difficulty with the completely different change of scenery and not really knowing, okay, well, how do I get to the bathroom in the middle of the night? So doing that kind of walkthrough at night with the night lights and making it a fun game has been really helpful. And like I said, it's a fun memory that we have in all of our houses. And it's also just become a tradition anytime we go and we move into a new home.
Those are such great tips, Elena. So I think one of the most important, though, that you said was in the beginning, really be cognizant of their mental being. Where are
Mhm.
they? Are they, feeling some depression? Are they scared? Are they nervous? And being aware of that, being open and honest, having good, strong conversations, which are all great skills for children. To learn, for all of life, but then
Mhm.
also to Involve them is another big tip that you said. Make sure that they're involved in it, that they don't feel like they have no control, that they have a sense of being a part of this family, which is a great bonding opportunity to bond with your children and really involve them with this move, because it is a family move. It's not just them. They have some control. They have some say. And what a great opportunity that you just said earlier, where you said you involved them in understanding the buying process. What does it take to get pre-approved? What does it take to get them maybe enrolled in school? What does mom or dad have to do to get you into these schools, to really fully understand your role in all of this too, but also giving them a role in that. I think that's a really important tip that you said. And then overall, making it fun and creating memories so that they have something to look back on, and the memories of the prior place as well as the new place, that they have friends they can connect with for years to come and maybe run into again in another base when you get military PCS to another base. These are all positive things to talk to the kids about. And those are really great tips, Elena. Anything else that you want to add?
I just want to add that I know it's really hard as a military family to do all these moves, and the kids really can get the brunt of it. So I just want to applaud them and say thank you, because like I said, I know it's really challenging, and I think that everyone out there is doing a great job. And just make it fun and make it an adventure, because that's the only way to really get through it, is to just kind of laugh at the little hiccups that happen, and they will happen. So just make it fun for your family.
Well, I agree. And I also say thank you for all of your service. It is a tough situation when you're moving with children and dogs and whatever else animals that you have, because it's definitely challenging. But I hope these tips helped you. And thank you so much, Elena, for being here and taking the time to answer these questions and kind of help others along the way. So if you are moving to Colorado Springs and you're PCSing here and you want to know more about our city, or you want to know more about a PCS move, then you can check out this video next that Elena and I did about tips for PCSing into Colorado Springs. But I'm so glad you were here on the channel. If you found value in this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, then feel free to comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day.